A crucial point within my process of change that I've been failing to realize as to why I was ineffective at change within my life, within who I am, my commitment that I like to believe that I place within myself in this world, and what I failed to realize and not take responsibility for is that of doing all of what the tools of destiny are within what is actually proposed as in self-honesty, self-forgiveness, then self-commitment, living the commitment, sticking to breath to escape the mind and to escape the falsehood of not living in the now and hear physical reality. And I realized that where I was failing is that I never wrote myself out in self-honesty within who I actually was in all of this. I thought self-forgiveness alone was just going to carry me without actually writing down and getting to a great specificity as to how I got to this point of needing correction within my life. And within all of this, I would write self-forgiveness out and apply it as sort of a sketch, a rough draft of what I needed to correct myself on, what I see as relevant, as keeping me back, as a limitation that I keep falling back into, diving back into within the mind, and without actually being self-honest within writing myself out beforehand, in the sense of writing who I was throughout the entire day and throughout my whole life, every single event that led up to me going to this point of needing correction within myself, within who I am, as, like I said, the commitment that is being placed on being life instead of the mind, and without actually writing out myself in self-honesty, actually being intimate with who I am, seeing into me, this intimacy. It's so clear that if I'm not doing that, then self-forgiveness is never going to be effective, because it's not me that I'm really forgiving whatsoever. It's the perceived mental character that I've come up with in my mind that I like to believe that I am, but at the same time, it's impossible for me to ever do that, because I have so many trains of thought within my day-to-day, moment-to-moment experience of myself. If I'm allowing that, if I'm not considering what I'm actually doing, and within that I never really have an understanding of what I really think about things, because I'm thinking about like 6 things at once. So within this within self-honesty of like slowing it down, like it's been reiterated so many times through the Destiny message, through interviews of people, it's when you slow it down, you actually see those points, and therefore are at the greatest stance to correct yourself and to be the change that is required, that you see that is relevant in this world as needing to be done, outside of living the program of doing what everybody else would be doing if they hadn't realized their point of responsibility within this world. And so I'm just grateful that I'm finally figuring this out, that it's so much more effective. It's the only way that I'm ever going to get to true self-commitment within my application of me in this world, if I'm actually forgiving myself, forgiving me, and seeing an exact specificity how I got to be me, so I know who I actually am within needing to change. Because obviously, even if I don't know who I am, I know that I'm not living equality, and that's the only thing that actually matters within this world. It doesn't matter if I believe myself to be any sort of character or any sort of belief as to who I am, just like filling in the blank like I did within self-forgiveness. I would just write out a statement that pertained to my life and that I thought was just well written and actually connected to me with, and the starting point of thinking that that was the only thing that was needing to be done, and I would use my mind to fill in the blank to give me the background, wherein I'm proving to myself I can't trust my mind. It's been based in bullshit. I see how I'm always jumping back into the same cycle of thought over and over again, wherein there's no relevancy to what is actually going on in this world, the problems posed. So, definitely committing myself to spend more of my time writing. I thought that just like 10 minutes of writing a day was actually going to be sufficient, but I've been living dishonesty, as in being a hypocritical, I guess, abuser of the Destiny message and being a mockery to what it actually stood for within how I've lived. I've had so much dishonesty built up in me, and that requires extensive writing, extensive looking into me outside of just like thinking about it. It needs to be taken out of my physical because it's just so crazy in here because of all the dishonesty that I've lived. So it's really intriguing to see that these tools, they work. And so I invite everybody, of course, if you're not applying self-forgiveness, to be somebody of this world, to be a person that can actually be trusted within the lives of every single person. If you're not doing this, then what are you doing? Obviously. So yeah, check out Equal Money and Destiny if you haven't, of course. Well, thanks for listening.